Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Casual Brews here with my Week 7 NFL preview and betting picks. Not a great week last week. Ended up a lot better than it looked right out of the gate. Ended up on my bets 13, 14, and 1. Not bad, honestly, considering I had a really good week the week prior. It's hard to sustain that kind of record throughout a whole season. So I was saved by the later slate and the primetime games because the first slate of games was disastrous. I don't know, I was probably down 5 or 6 picks there. So kind of got a little bit better as the day went on. And the Monday night game, I got Bills over, but not the spread, obviously, because Tennessee won. So we'll kick things off with the Thursday night game. That's tonight. I'm going to try to get this video uploaded as soon as possible. I'm recording it now midday Thursday. Cleveland, 1.5 point favorites at home against the Denver Broncos. Cleveland, obviously, without Baker Mayfield in this one. Still favored, which, isn't a huge surprise. I mean, Denver's, after a 3-0 start, looked pretty bad the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I like Cleveland in a bounce back spot here. They got embarrassed really by Arizona. Not, a huge shame there. Arizona's the only undefeated team in the league, but I look at Case Keenum, Cleveland's backup, obviously playing tonight, and Teddy Bridgewater is very similar players, similar skill set, game managers, kind of spread the ball around, very, very similar. Obviously, I think Bridgewater can run a little bit more, but he doesn't do that much now. So I look at the rosters just kind of besides the quarterback, and I just like Cleveland's a little more, and especially coming off of their loss. I mean, both teams coming off a loss, but Cleveland, I think, will be a little hungrier here. And the game's in Cleveland, too, which helps a little bit, too. So Browns crowd will be raucous. I like the Browns in a bounce back here, so I'm going to take Cleveland to cover. The over-under is only 40.5. I just think Thursday night game, the backup quarterback, and then the guy in Teddy Bridgewater who kind of looked okay out at the start, but I don't think he didn't play very well last week or the week before. And he's a little banged up too, I think, as well. He should play, but he was listed on the injury report. I just think this Thursday night game, assuming it's going to be cold in Cleveland, just going to be an ugly, grinded out game. Both defenses want to bounce back. Both are good at times. I like the under 40.5, really low under, but it's a Thursday night game too. It's just going to be ugly. I feel like it's going to be ugly, 17-13 or something maybe is the final. I don't know. Yeah, take Cleveland on the under. Next up, we got Baltimore, 6-point favorites at home against Cincinnati. Baltimore's kind of hurt me. I think 2 weeks in a row I've bet against them. They've made me look foolish. Colts game, obviously, had the Colts in that one to cover, and Baltimore turned it on late and looked unstoppable in the last quarter plus overtime. And then last week they killed the Chargers. I picked the Chargers. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm going to ride with them here. I think 6 points is a little low considering how good they've looked. Cincinnati looks good too. They killed, obviously, a pretty bad Detroit team. If this was if this was over 7, I'd probably lean to maybe picking Cincinnati, but I think Baltimore can win by at least a touchdown. So I like 6 points, Baltimore. Take it. I like the over 46.5. I think both teams can be competent on defense, but they can both score pretty well. So I think 46.5 is kind of low. I'm kind of surprised by that line. I'm going to take the over here. I'm trying not to overthink things this week. I think I overthought a little too much last week. Going more with my gut in my picks here instead of trying to justify, well, this team could do this and then maybe cover late. No, I'm just going to go with my gut. I see a line. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does my eye test tell me? Last week, I think a couple times, my gut was saying Minnesota, for example, and my eye test was saying Minnesota looks better, but I'm like, well, I try to justify, well, maybe Carolina can get back to where they were before, winning games, even though against bad teams, etc. I'm going more with my gut this week, trying to mix it up after a kind of subpar week last week. So my gut tells me Baltimore looks really good. They can win by at least 7. They can win by 7, 27-20 or something. They can win that. So Baltimore -6 on the over. Next up, we got the Kansas City Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites at Tennessee. Again, like eye test, like we all know what Kansas City is capable of, but Tennessee's offense with the run game, Chiefs defense, while they had a good showing against Washington is probably not that good. Heineke, maybe teams are figuring him out a little bit in their offense. So I'm not going to put a ton of stock into that. I'm going to put more stock into what I saw Tennessee's offense do against Buffalo. I just think they keep it close. I really was close to just taking the money line here. I may still put something on the money line, but my pick officially is just Kansas City plus 4.5. Again, I just think that's too many points. It's the same thing what happened with like Buffalo. Buffalo was 5.5-point favorites against the Titans. I just think if Kansas City wins, it's still going to be close because both teams are going to score a lot of points. Maybe Mahomes has a magic, 1-minute drive in a tie game to get a field goal. They win by 3 maybe over Tennessee. I don't know. I just think 4.5 points is a safe bet. I want to take them. I want to take Titans maybe even to win the game after what I saw last week, but at the least I'm going to go with the points here. And I like a high over 57.5. It's a lot. This line's been going up. I think it was 56 at first, and it's gone up to 57.5. That's crazy. That's high. But I just think I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to try to justify that maybe these teams will figure it out defensively. No, from what I've seen, these teams can score. They don't play a lot of defense. Over 57.5 should be attainable. Could be like the Buffalo game. Could be like 34-31 Kansas City. That's a very possible score, I think. So I'll take the over. Next up, we got Atlanta Falcons, 2.5-point favorites going to Miami. Again, not going to overthink it. Not going to try to make up reasons why Miami can figure it out here and win. They just look like crap. Falcons have kind of shown some promise. They coming off a bye week. That's always good. Get guys rested. Figure out, your defense a little bit. Their defense has played well at times this year. They haven't really had a ton of tough competition so far, but I like Atlanta looks good at times. Miami just looks bad overall. Like their only win is against the Patriots, and the Patriots are still like the jury's out on them. So not going to overthink it here. Not going to try to give a reason why Miami can figure it out at home. I'm taking the Falcons -2.5. Book it. It's a no-brainer gut pick. And then this one was hard. The over/under 47.5. Miami's struggling to score. I think Atlanta's defense is not that bad. They've had moments. They've looked okay. I think they'll hold Miami to under 20, and then they'll, they could very well score like 30 plus themselves and hit the over, but I like the under here, 47.5. I don't love it, but I just think I think Atlanta is just gonna have a solid game overall here. I think Miami's done. They're planning on trading for Deshaun Watson. It seems like, but I don't know why. Your season's already over. You're not going to compete in that division. You have a 1 win. It's obviously a trade to get him ingratiated in the system a little bit. It's a move for next year. I think Miami had a lot higher expectations on their season than how it's gone so far, especially defensively. But they were supposed to be competent enough on offense to maybe be, dare I say, a wild card contender at least. But their season's already over, in my opinion. Trading for Deshaun Watson is just going to be a move to set up for next year. Obviously, he's still under contract, I think, for a little while. So, yeah, take Atlanta and the under. Next up, we got Carolina, 3-point favorites at the New York Giants. Another one where I'm not going to overthink it. It looks like a trap line almost because the Giants just got killed by the Rams, who were obviously very good. But they're still suffering with injuries. I don't see how they keep this game that close. I mean, Carolina, yeah, they've been disappointing after their good start to the season. They still fought hard against Minnesota. They got that game to overtime. It's just too easy almost, right? They shouldn't, like the Giants don't deserve to be only 3-point underdogs against a team that has 3 wins. So take Carolina, -3. Over-under is only 43. I just think Carolina's defense, I thought was good, but then like Minnesota lit them up, right? So I think over 43 is a no-brainer. I mean, the Giants are going to probably still struggle to score a little bit, but I think Carolina, like the Rams had no problem scoring against the Giants. Obviously, the Rams are way better than Carolina, but I just think 43 is too low. Neither team is really. There'll be some sloppy plays. There could be a pick 6 or 2 for all I know, right? There could be a Daniel Jones fumble, touchdown. You got to think when it comes to over-unders, it's a little more than just what offense is going to score. There could be some defensive or special teams points being scored, right? So I think that's too low. 43, over, take it. Next up, this was a tough one, honestly. Patriots are 7-point favorites at home against the Jets. Just another gut pick. I mean, it's Belichick, it's the Patriots. It's obviously not the Brady Patriots, but it's still the Patriots at home against the rookie quarterback, against the Jets, who lately they've obviously owned them. Seems like a no-brainer. 7 points. The Jets, they coming off a couple games where they've looked like competent-ish, but the Patriots played Dallas tough, and Dallas looks like a really good team. They were right there. I mean, they didn't get the ball in overtime, right? Or else who knows? Well, actually, no, they did get the ball. They punted. Never mind. What am I saying? But yeah, they took the Dallas Cowboys to overtime, and Dallas does look really good. So I don't know. Eye test tells me Patriots are just that much better than the Jets. They're not the Brady Patriots, but they can cover 7 points against the Jets and a rookie quarterback. Jets could be good in a couple years, but they're still figuring things out. Take the Patriots here. And 42.5 over under. Another hard one. But I just think I trust Belichick and the Patriots to make it tough on the Jets to score. So taking the under. Don't love it. It's one of the least confident picks I have, but I got to pick them all. That's my plan here. So grudgingly, I'm taking the under. Could very well be wrong about that one, but under 42.5 is the pick. Next, we have Green Bay, 7.5-point favorites at home against Washington. Washington obviously got beat pretty bad by the Chiefs. I don't think they scored in the whole second half. Again, teams might be kind of figuring out Heineke in that offense a little bit. There wasn't much expectation for him, but he's shown flashes this year that he could be part of their future. I don't know if that's so clear anymore. Green Bay kind of sometimes plays a little conservative and doesn't really run up the score much, but I think they can cover 7.5. I also like the under 48.5, just because Green Bay has been playing some low scoring games. Like they were beating Chicago pretty bad, but they had so many long drives, and they kind of kept that game low scoring, 24-14. Like that was a 38-point total in the end. So I don't know. Washington's defense doesn't really give you any hope that they could hold up their end of the bargain, but I don't know. Just a gut feeling in this one. This game, like Rodgers is totally fine in playing a low scoring game, controlling the clock. Even against a bad defense, just running the ball, short passes, taking what's given to him. I'm sure they're going to probably play off coverage a little bit, give him the underneath stuff. And he's very experienced at running long drives. He did it against the Bears, and I think he'll do it more today. I just don't think, even though Washington's defense won't do much against Green Bay, I don't think Green Bay really cares to just go bombs away and run up the score. So that's not who they are. That's not their offense. Their offense is still calculated. It's still control the clock, move the ball, calculated. So I don't, under 48.5. Yeah, I don't know. I just think Washington's offense might be getting figured out a little bit. I don't think they score enough to take the over here. Next up, one of the three really huge lines this week is Detroit 15-point underdogs going to LA, the double revenge game. You got Goff going to LA. You got Stafford, obviously playing his former team in LA. It's a tough one. 15 points is a lot. As bad as this Detroit's looked, I mean, Cincinnati had no problems covering that spread, but it's a tough one. Had to go with the Rams here, though. I just think the Rams had no problem scoring at will, running up the score against the Giants. Hard to believe they won't do the same thing here. They like to keep their offense kind of as is throughout the course of a game, no matter what the score. I think they'll have no problems with Detroit. You know, I thought Detroit kind of showed a bit, like the way they got beat last week was, again, you thought they would be a team that would just fight every game, no matter what the spread or the odds, but they got killed last week, and that was telling, and the Rams killed the Giants. So, again, this is a try not to think too much about it game. The Rams, I think, can cover that. I also like the under 50.5 here. I just think the Rams like the front run a little bit defensively. I think they'll just smother Detroit. So, I just really like the Rams to win bad. This could be an ugly game, ugly game, like 37-10 or something for the Rams. So I'll take the Rams and the under. Again, the under just strictly because I don't think, while the Rams will get their points, Detroit just won't score. Next, we got Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders, not the Oakland Raiders, as I've probably said multiple times. 3-point favorites at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Another game which maybe last week I would have tried to be like, oh, it sounds like a trap. I mean, only 3 points, but I'm just going to jump on it. I mean, I don't know. The Eagles are a little bit up and down. They kind of were feisty and kept it close against Tampa, but they're not that. Vegas showed me, like, eye test, Vegas looked a lot better last week. Beat at least defensively, a pretty solid Broncos team. 3 points, and it's in Vegas too. Like, if it was in Philly, I'd maybe think about it a little more, but the game's in Vegas. The crowds are going to be nuts coming off a big win. They're right there in that division, just like every team is in that division right now. -3, they should come out and smoke the Eagles, honestly. I think Vegas -3 is a no-brainer. And over 49 I like here too. Vegas just scored 34 points against a better defense than what the Eagles have. I think that's another easy pick. The Eagles offensively at times struggle, but, you know, Hurts, especially if he gets down early, will just air it out. He might hit a couple big plays. He might throw a pick six or two. Who knows? The Raiders might put up 40 on their own. So I'm going to go with that over 49. Next up, we got another kind of crazy line. We got the Bears, 12.5-point underdogs, going to Tampa Bay. I don't know. There's still some injury concerns. I saw Antonio Brown on the injury report. I think Gronk is still questionable, iffy. Just a lot of points to give a good defense. Like, yeah, the Bears struggled to move the ball a little bit at times against Green Bay, but I don't know. Like, Tampa Bay's defense has been, again, kind of hot and cold. Like, they got a lot of the same personnel, but they're banged up, injuries, this and that. I know they're getting some guys back, but it's just a lot of points to give a Bears team that has some talent on that roster. Like, they haven't executed as much as they should based on some of the guys they have there. So I'm taking the Bears with the points. They can at least keep it within that number. That's a lot of points to give a decent team. Like, the Bears are besides the Cleveland game, they're not just going to get walked over like that. And again, like Tampa Bay, I don't know, Brady doesn't really care about point spreads. He doesn't want to, like, he doesn't care about like sticking it to a team like Chicago, who he has no real history with, right? He's gonna play the game. It's like he did, just like he did against the Eagles. Play the game like it's just another opponent. Not look too high, not get too low. If the game is like a 7-point, if they have the ball with like a 7-point lead, they're not going to show like, I don't think, a huge sense of urgency to get another touchdown. They would gladly just run the clock and kick a field goal or something like that, right? Like they burned me against the Eagles in that game where I think they had the ball late and they just ended up taking a knee, right? They don't care about that kind of stuff. They'll be more than happy to win by 7 points, win by 3 points maybe even. They're not a team that really pushes the pace with the lead. They like to get a little conservative, run the ball, just win the game, not try to, cover a point spread. I mean, no NFL team's ever gonna like want to truly intentionally cover a point spread, but you know what I mean. Like they're just, I don't know. Besides the game they had against the Dolphins where they blew them out, but the Dolphins stink. The Bears are at least competent on defense, so I don't see Tampa covering that spread. It's a lot. It's too much. I like the under 47 just because, like I said, I think if the Bucs get off to a lead, if they look like they got the game in hand, they're not going to really try to push the pace to like extend the lead. They're just going to play smart. Brady's such a poised veteran. He's just going to make the smart plays, run the ball, short passes or whatever, just maintain possession, keep the lead kind of as is, kick field goals, whatever. So I don't think there'll be a lot of points in this game. And on the flip side, Chicago still offensively, there's a lot of question marks there against like a Tampa Bay defense that should be pretty good. Hasn't shown it a lot yet, but I just think that under is another fairly easy pick just based on how I feel the game is going to flow. So I got the Bears points and the under. Next up, we got another doozy. We got the Texans. Houston Texans are 17.5-point underdogs at Arizona. Again, not trying to overthink it too much. Arizona, they blew out the Rams, obviously, but they had a tough game against like Jacksonville. They don't seem to really, which is kind of what the Seahawks have done in the last few years too. They don't necessarily play the same against every team. They've kind of, while they've looked great against the Browns, great against the Rams, they had a tough time with Jacksonville. I think with Minnesota too, that game went down. They were a missed Vikings field goal away from losing that game. Granted, Minnesota I think is still pretty decent. Like they don't get up for every game, it seems like. And I think, even if this game was like 16.5, I might even pick Arizona to cover. But that 17, a lot of games are decided by 17 points, I feel like, in the NFL. That 2 touchdowns, that extra field goal, I think that extra half a point seems crazy, but I'm taking a Houston, and this, I mean, I can come back to bite me, but it's just so many points. Like, I think if you look statistically, like even there was one game, I think, when like the Manning Broncos, I think it might have been the year they went to the Super Bowl and obviously got killed by the Seahawks, or the year before perhaps, both those 2 years, the year before and then the Super Bowl year, they're insane offensively. So I think they were favored by like 20 points against Jacksonville or something like that, and they barely won. Like when teams are favored by that much, I'm telling you, they rarely cover. Not long ago on a podcast they were talking about like big spreads like that, and that's a lot to cover. Like Arizona, yeah, they're 6-0. They're only undefeated team, but those Vikings and Jaguars games tell me that I don't know if they really have that sense of urgency against like bad teams to cover like that much points. I mean, you got some veterans on that Houston team that play with some pride. Coming off a bad loss against the Colts, they got to have a little bit of fire. I could see them still barely covering that 17.5 Houston, but I think they will. I just think that's a lot of points. So I'm taking Houston to cover, maybe barely. Like it could literally be like a 30-14 game or something for Arizona. And I like the under just because Houston, like I've said every week, they can't score. Arizona's defense is pretty solid. They'll keep them in check. I don't think Arizona, again, urgency, will have a ton of urgency on offense to score a lot. So I like the under. Last couple games, San Fran, the 49ers, 4-point favorites at home against the Colts. I'm going Colts, straight up. My one money line underdog pick of the week. San Fran, I think Jimmy G's playing. it looks like. Yeah, I just haven't seen enough from the 49ers. Like, after the Colts come off that big win, after they at least played Baltimore pretty tough besides getting out of gas in the fourth quarter, they've shown me enough eye test. They look better than the 49ers. Just flat out, they look better. Both sides of the ball. I'm taking them. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I just like the Colts. My eyes tell me the Colts look a little better than the 49ers right now. Jimmy G coming back for start off an injury. Could be a little off his rhythm. It just seems like a no-brainer. It just seems like a no-brainer. Carson Wentz has looked pretty good lately. I don't know. Is he a better quarterback than Jimmy G? He might be. He might actually be at this point. So, Colts, money line, all over it. I like the over 44 as well. Both teams can be solid defensively. The Niners still, I think, have a couple injuries on the defense. Colts, I mean, their defense is good, not great. 44 just seems too low. I think it'll be like mid-20s, both teams. It'll be a close game. Colts will win something like 27-24, I think. And lastly, we got the Seahawks, 4.5-point underdogs at home against the Saints. And then the over-under is 42.5. So, like, it's literally a carbon copy, basically, of last week's game. It's a primetime game. The spread is the exact same, I think. I think Pittsburgh was 4.5-point favorites. Only difference is this game's in Seattle. So, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, roughly, I think, same teams, really. Both, like, good but not great teams. Both very inconsistent. The Saints have had a couple nice wins, a couple bad losses. Same with the Steelers. Difference being this game in Seattle, so I'm surprised the line's not a little bit less favoring the Saints here. I'm going with the exact same pick I did last week. I mean, if it works, why? If it's not broke, don't fix it. I don't know if the Seahawks will win the game, but they'll at least keep it within 4.5 points. It could be another tough overtime loss or field goal loss, whatever. Jason Myers hitting field goals, missing extra points. I think he missed a field goal already this year. I don't know. I could see this game being like 23-20 New Orleans. Seattle getting the ball back and missing a field goal. Just because that's what happens to Seahawks fans. We got our one Super Bowl, but we're cursed in every other way. So I could see the Seahawks missing a game-tying field goal from like 50 yards and losing 23-20. That's what I could see happening in this game. So I'm going to take the over 42.5 again. I think it was the exact same number last week too. It's an identical. It's like they just copy and pasted the lines. But it's different. It's in Seattle, not New Orleans. But to be fair, Seattle hasn't even played well at home the last couple of years. They lost to New Orleans at home, I think, last year or the year before. No, it was last year. It was the year because it was when Teddy Bridgewater was playing too, when Breeze hurt his hand. So home field advantage, as dominant as it was in the Legion of Boom era, they suck at home now. So I don't know. Exact same line, spread, over under. Monday Night Football as opposed to Sunday Night Football. I don't know. I'm just copy and pasting my picks from last week. Seahawks to cover, maybe not win. Hope they win. Going to root for them. But take Seattle with the points, take the over. And I went 2 for 2 on that last week. We'll see if I can repeat that. So anyway, those are my picks. Coming off a 13-14-1 week last week, off of a really good week prior. See if I can get back on track a little bit here. Feel pretty good about these picks. Went with my gut. Didn't try to overthink things too much. So hopefully a nice little bounce back week here. And see you guys again with the next week recap.